have had to terminate both males and females, and I have never liked doing that. But for the good of the company, for the team, it is from time to time has to be done, and it is not a pleasurable thing for anyone, not just the employee but the employer also does not look forward to those times. But that's the way life is, and I doubt that that will change. So internal personnel as well as subcontractors have to be constantly monitored. They have to have your respect. Actually, that respect goes both ways. And they have to enjoy their work. If they don't, then friction will simply amplify itself, and then a critical decision will have to be made on what the future of that individual is.
When you started Pardue & Company back in 1980, did you think about all the other aspects of the business in terms of accounting, payroll, marketing, or were you more focused on the actual real estate appraising and then realized later that all the other things came with owning your own business? Or did you go into that with your eyes wide open, knowing that you would have your hand in all these different disciplines?
Well, when you're starting off with only 2 or 3 people, the complexities of and the various components of a company are obviously not as great. As you add more and more staff, you have to be either hire bookkeeping and office managers that will do that work for you, or you're going to do it yourself. I always chose to do the former, and I would rather give up part of my annual compensation for highly qualified people to do their part in helping me manage and run the company. I do very little of my own writing anymore because I'm too busy supervising those that can actually write better than myself. That's challenging enough and takes up probably about half of my time is running the staff, managing the people, with the other half being marketing, finding new clients, being able to change, we discussed earlier, being able to change sometimes daily to make sure that the revenue is coming in and the quality of the service we're providing is upheld.
You have mentioned a lot of challenges with regards to having your own business, but what has been the biggest reward of being an entrepreneur?
The part I think that most business owners find attractive is you don't have another partner or a stockholders or a board to tell you what to do, because you are all of those things. You can make decisions without anyone else's approval. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, but at least you have that independent capability to try to better the organization every day.
You mentioned, kind of backtracking a little bit, going out on your own in 1980, but prior to that, in the 70s, had you thought of being a business owner? Had it been something that was on your mind, that you wondered if you could do, or was it not really something that entered into your framework until later? I mean, was it like something that was always picking at you, that you felt like you wanted to be on your own from when you started working, or did that develop over time?
No, that was always there. I think probably my military uh, background led me to being independent, or at least seeking that. Once I got all of my skills together and got my letters after my name, which took years and years. So I think from the very beginning I knew that I had to go through a long and tedious journey before I could become independent, but that's a good thing, because if it was easy, then there would be a lot more of us out there. So the more education that you have, the more postgraduate work that you do, and the more you self-train yourself, that puts you above most of the pool. And when you're at the top, then you get to pick and choose for certain things that the others don't. And obviously, one of the things is the monetary rewards, as well as just the general accomplishment that you feel and are proud of. So that was always there.
As my final question, what advice would you give me in starting my own company?
Probably one of the biggest things is having capital reserves. Most failures are caused by not necessarily inapt people, but they don't have the funding source that it takes in the beginning years. Number two, you got to want it. You've got to be prepared, as I mentioned earlier, to put in longer hours than the salaried person. And sometimes it may be Christmas Eve, and you're still the last one in the building to get home. You've got to have those two things are very important. And the other thing that is important is, what is your target market? Where are you going to find people to pay anything for your services? So having those lined up, and that's what I did my first 10 years before I had my own company, is I slowly built up relationships with clients as just a worker bee. And then when I decided to depart, many of those customers said, you know what, I like your ex-boss, but I like you better. So those are the three big things: having your customers lined up, having enough cash in the bank to carry you for maybe the first year or two, and having the desire inside that will motivate you, particularly during the crisis times. That's the mark of a good manager and a good owner. Anybody can do it in the good times, but when it gets rough, when recession's out there and people are watching their money and they may or may not want to pay for your services, that's the mark. That's the true report card of a successful entrepreneur.